You gonna
I've
find
got
out.
I've got so many different notes here that I'm bouncing around here. Let's get one of the really easy things out of the way. I'm pretty sure that everybody's going to agree with this thing. Violin shrieks. Uh, I hate them with a passion, and I get why they do them, and it works, which is part of the reason why I hate them because it's just like, damn it, every once in a while something will get me. Um, but to me, a violin shriek is not worthy horror. If you want to scare me, you need to scare me in a way that's something other than when is that noise going to happen? And that's the kind of one of the issues that I have with like the horror TV shows and the horror movies and even like the videos on the internet that are like the shock ones. You know, you stare at the screen and eventually something
Hmm.
pops up. It just goes ah. You're supposed to jump backward in your chair and whatever. All of those are they're cheap to me and anybody can do them. It's like, well, I could do that with this video if I wanted to. And if I was a real asshole, I would have like 5 seconds of silence right now or something like that and just do it. But rest assured, you don't. That's not gonna happen. But what do you guys? Is that like a cheap thing to you guys too, or is that a perfectly valid way to scare people? What do you think, Caroline?
Um, Personally, yeah, I think it's kind of cheap, yeah, because I'm a very visual person, and yeah, I don't really want to see the monster, but I want to see, evidence that that monster was there. Freaking me out with something else other than sound. Uh, that's cool, but I also understand why they do it, and I think there's like a big part of us who, which is really reminiscent of haunted houses. And when you go through like, dark corridors and haunted houses and you just have something jump on you and most of the time you just hear it before you even see the thing. It's an easy way to do it. I feel like it might work sometimes. I actually can only think of one example that it worked for me, and it might just be because I'm very biased. I love The Shining, both the book and the movie, and I wasn't even aware, but I was rewatching it with my cousin, and she was watching it for the first time, and I remember that she jumped out of her chair when the screen went black, and we just got like, when in the movie you get Monday and something happens, and then Tuesday, and it shows like
Mhm.
all every day of the week. When Tuesday came on, and it had like a very like loud like sound to it, I remember that she was like, I think like Sean was like pissed her pants. Like that to her was so scary. And
From then on, she's
I liked
petrified
it.
of calendars.
Oh my, we have this inner joke now that every Tuesday I just text her Tuesday. And then she already knows that it's just the shining thing. But to me that one worked just because till that point everything in the movie is very quiet and you're just getting like a little things like the twins in the court or things happening, but it's not like full on horror yet. That you're just so into it and you're just so into that whole environment that when Tuesday happens, you're like, wow, oh my god, it's another day. Like something else is gonna happen now. So I like that one, but I think that's the only example that I can think of that I liked, and I kind of have to, thank my cousin for it.
I can think of one example specifically that I maybe it's like the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Violin Shrieks, but I remember seeing What Lies Beneath in theaters, and they
Oh
called
man.
attention to those violent shrieks so much that I'm sitting there going like, all right, five, four, three, two, there you go, there's a violent shriek. Like it was just like it took me out of the movie entirely, and then
Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
care anymore about is somebody going to get killed because I'm like, I wonder when Harrison Ford's hand's going to pop up. Maybe in about 5 seconds. Oh,
Yeah.
look, it's Harrison Ford's hand. Like, oh god, that's I'll never forget or forgive the people that made me go watch that movie.
Aw. Well, but
Violent
I
shrieks.
think in that case, it was not so much like it didn't work to scare you. It was just like not used well to the point that it distracts you from the whole movie, and you're just like waiting for those things to come up.
Yeah, like it. There are times
Yeah.
where a violent shriek can really get me, or even worse, and this is what really bothers me. I hate it. I hate admitting that this happens every once in a while, but even in like an action movie, when somebody gets shot out of nowhere or something like that, once in a while I'll just be like, oh, holy shit, I didn't expect that character to
Oh
die.
yeah, just random gunshots.
There with the extension
You
of
guys
the
are
3D.
very jumpy.
It depends. There's been 3D movies where like Thor has thrown his hammer at the screen and I didn't expect it, and I've been like, oh crap, why wasn't I paying attention? But then there's been horror movies where, it's just so forecast and you can't possibly scare anybody unless they're not paying attention. But what do you think about the Violin Shriek stuff, Sam? Is that something that's like a legitimate reason to call yourself a good horror movie or horror TV
Violin
show or video game, or is it worth it for those internet videos? Like, are those really like you're talented if you can figure out a way to do that kind of a thing?
I think it's worth it if you can figure out how to do it correctly. I think it's overused a lot now because back in the day it was horrifying. It goes back to the movie Psycho, where I'm sure when you saw the original Psycho for the first time without all the desensitized horror that we're used to, that must have been utterly horrifying. Now it's like what used to be scary is now a joke. The one film where violins and the Jaws effect worked perfectly for me, and I saw this film 3 or 4 times in theaters, was Signs. It wasn't a violin shriek. It was like a quiet violin chord that just gradually got louder and then dipped back out. And
Just
then
M. Night Shyamalan going twist.
well, this was back when his twists mattered and they were interesting. But like going back to the Jaws effect too, like you might see like a crop circle, then you might hear noises, or you might see a shadow, and then it hits you with it. And then the violins, they weren't shrieks so much as they used violins where the music itself terrified you. And that you don't get to see all the time anymore. There's very few movies where you can say that the music actually made things scarier. Like when you think of the Halloween theme, when you think of the like hushing noises in Friday the 13th.
Yes.
And even the Jaws theme itself, just the 2 notes, and it just the way it goes in slowly and then starts speeding up, it gives you that feeling of urgency, like there's something around and it's getting closer and closer and closer, and then it hits.
Music definitely plays a huge factor.
Oh yeah, if you don't have the right music, it can ruin a horror film.
Look at The Dark Knight. I mean, it's not a horror movie, but you've got, basically a horror character in the Joker. And Hans Zimmer, he's the man. He knows exactly what he's doing. He gives the Joker a theme that's just that shriek that does not end. It just keeps getting louder and louder and louder. And that ends up being freakier than, Prince in Tim Burton's movie.
Yeah.
As freaky as Prince is.